To discuss more about the upcoming summit in Washington and other Korean Peninsula issues, we have with us Dr. Bong Young-shik, a researcher at the Yonsei Institute for North Korean Studies. Thank you for your time today here, Professor.
Pleased to be here.
Now, as you just heard in that last report, President Moon Jae-in and Donald Trump spoke on the phone over the weekend. Now, they were going to meet within the next 3 days or so, but what do you think they need to talk about so urgently that they couldn't wait those few days?
Right. There's a growing sense of urgency, judging from the fact that not only did these two leaders talk on the phone for 20 minutes over the weekend, but they're going to have a official meeting in Washington, D.C., including private meeting, only involving interlocutors to talk about the upcoming summit meeting between Washington and Pyongyang. That means that they took the sudden announcement by the North Korean government about the cancellation of the high-rank official meetings between the two Korean governments very seriously, and they would like to analyze the likely impact of that North Korea's maneuvering on the upcoming summit meeting between Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim. But I would bet that North Korea's true intention is not to cancel the summit meeting with the United States, but hope to augment its bargaining leverages upon the United States prior to the summit meeting.
So yes, they're going to try and reach a deal on for the summit. Again, so North Korea will obviously be at the forefront of the Moon-Trump summit. But do you think they'll actually talk details about the kind of denuclearization deal that the U.S. wants from North Korea? I mean, do you think Trump will reveal the kind of plans that he has for the summit?
There are some concerning signs from the United States. The reason why the North Korea took issue at Washington's message to Pyongyang about denuclearization of North Korea involves some mixed signals sent by Washington that National Security Advisor John Bolton has been emphasizing the application of so-called Libyan model to denuclearization of North Korea, whereas other members of the Trump administration, such as new Secretary of State Pompeo, suggested more of economic impact or benefits that North Korea can accrue in case North Korea will come out with a denuclearization. So North Korea must have found this mixed signal quite frustrating prior to actual participation in the summit meeting. That also reflects that Trump administration may not be as well prepared for the summit meeting with North Korea as it should be. So this is time for the Trump administration to make up its strategic mind and do its own homework in dealing with Kim Jong-un's North Korea. For North Korean part, North Korean leadership, including Mr. Kim Jong-un himself, never specifically uttered the magic word denuclearization of North Korea. It only confirmed as an ultimate long-term goal denuclearization of the entire Korean peninsula as a contributing factor to nuclear disarmament of the entire world. So it is possible to interpret so far North Korea's announcements as a confirmation that North Korea only affirms its intention to do something about its missile and nuclear programs as a nuclear power state, as a part of its action in participation of worldwide nuclear disarmament, not unilateral denuclearization. So we have to wait and see what kind of outcomes will come out of the summit meeting between Mr. Kim and Mr. Donald Trump. Before then, it will be too premature for anybody, including South Korean government, to confirm or assure the world that North Korean leadership has actually and officially confirmed its genuine intention to disarm itself.
Sure, but Moon Jae-in is going to Washington in next couple of days, and he'll be meeting with Trump.
Right.
How much cooperation do you think Trump and the U.S. will work with South Korea on the deal that they're working with North Korea?
Well, the two leaders will work as two allies as much as a deem necessary. I'm sure that they will make utmost effort to come up with the roadmap both sides will find most appropriate. The roadmap of the denuclearization of North Korea has two components. One is the entry point, the other one is the exit point. For entry point, the most important thing is to assure that Mr. Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, will attend the summit meeting with the United States. At the same time, North Korea's concept of complete denuclearization will be that type of denuclearization that United States, Japan, South Korea will find appropriate and acceptable. If the concept of a complete denuclearization, North Korean leadership is going to insist in the summit meeting, it's not the kind of concept of denuclearization that the United States, Japan, and South Korea will find be in line with its own goal, which is the denuclearization of North Korea. Then the summit meeting is basically a non-starter. The exit point is, of course, the United States granting security guarantee of North Korean leadership and leading North Korea to the real world, the path toward prosperity, for which South Korea can join hands with other countries such as China, Japan, United States to be able to make huge contribution.
So another example, I want to point out is there have been suggestions that President Moon will finally use the recently installed hotline between him and Kim Jong-un, North Korean leader, after the summit with Trump. Now, of course, that's just speculation for now, but what role does Moon Jae-in have to play between Washington and Pyongyang now that relations are starting to be on the rocks as negotiations come to an end to this summit?
Well, I'm relieved that President Moon Jae-in has not tried to activate and use the hotline between President's office in Seoul and Mr. Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang prior to his visit to Washington, which will take place in a few hours, because that will undercut the credibility of South Korean government as an objective and impartial interlocutor between Pyongyang and Washington, D.C. And what if he's going to use the hotline after his meeting with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, for the next few days? I guess it'll be an opportunity for South Korean government to communicate with Pyongyang and use the opportunity to deliver the objective and unfiltered message that it has discussed with the Trump administration in Washington, D.C. to the leadership of North Korea. But at the end of the day, it is up to the North Korean leadership to make the strategic decisions, because Washington has made it really clear, even prior to the current administration, Trump administration, that the United States has no intention to initiate the regime change inside North Korea or manufacture unilateral unification in which North Korea will be absorbed by the South. And United States has no intention to risk a war unless North Korea is going to pose a direct threat to its national security. So North Korea has the key. North Korean leadership can settle its own existential anxiety. How many security assurances Washington, in combination with other countries, may give to North Korean leadership, it is up to North Korean leadership to buy it or not. So at the end of the day, North Korean leadership has a huge strategic decision to make with regards to its own choice, how to secure its own survival.
Immediately after the South Korea-U.S. summit, on Wednesday, Korea time, is when Pyongyang said it will start dismantling its Punggye nuclear test site in front of international journalists. At the moment, the international journalists are on their way to China to go to North Korea. So I guess it is going to happen then, this dismantling of the Punggye nuclear test site?
Well, we have to wait and see. Above all, I'd like to just make a correction that North Korean leadership and its media did not announce that the Punggye underground nuclear site will be dismantled. They only announced that the underground tunnel will be shut down. So shut down means that it can be used again only if North Korean leadership ever changes its mind and restart its process of nuclear testing. Shutdown of the Punggye-ri site is a good start, but by and of itself does not constitute as a verifiable and a concrete sign that North Korean leadership is really committed to dismantlement of its missile and nuclear capability and facilities. We need to wait for more concrete and additional steps taken by North Korean leadership. And it is alarming that North Korean government, in protest to so-called hostile actions by South Korea and the United States that betray the spirit of the Panmunjom Declaration announced on the 27th of April, actually excluded the Korean reporters to attend the ceremony of the shutdown of the Punggye-ri site. That is a repetition of the old North Korean propaganda. So it really undermines the image of North Korean leadership, which has been drastically improved after Kim Jong-un's coming up party at the third Inter-Korean Summit meeting on April 27th. That is North Korea shooting itself at its feet, undermining its own positive image that it has very painstakingly built for the past month.
So you're saying it's a bad play from from North Korea to shut, because as you mentioned, they've shut out well, this looks like they're going to shut out the South Korean reporters who they invited initially to come watch this as you say, the shutdown of the nuclear entrances.
Right.
But isn't the South Korean government always open right now to have North Korea come and say, if they want to talk, South Korea, when the administration will be say, we're open to talks?
Right, but the capacity and the patience of the Moon Jae-in government is not unlimited, because basically South Korean government is a representation of the popular will in the Korean society. So it is responsible for the popular opinion and the consensus in the society. So far, the South Korean public really welcomed the new development on the front of inter-Korean relations. But improvement of inter-Korean relations by and of itself does not guarantee North Korea's commitment to denuclearization. That should be settled between Washington and Pyongyang in the upcoming summit meeting on June 12th. So it is premature, strategic mistake, in my personal opinion, that Kim Jong-un government tried to pressure Moon Jae-in government of South Korea to generate additional concession from both South Korea and the United States prior to the summit meeting with the United States, because it only undermines the positive image of North Korean leadership. The international opinion that, wow, North Korean leadership can be talked to. North Korean leadership may not be as crazy or adventurous or dangerous as we assume, judging from the image of Kim Jong-un participating in the Inter-Korean Summit meeting. I mean, that's a very valuable and useful security strategic asset for Pyongyang. And Pyongyang now does a lot of things that actually undercuts the efficacy of the image. That's counterproductive.
Well, thank you. We're out of time, but as always, thank you for your insights. It's been very interesting.
You're welcome.